Do you think that in 2026 we will have a challenge system in Major League Baseball, or has any of your background homework given you more doubt?
No, I believe we're going to have the system, and the people involved, people on the players' side, people on management side. Management side might not want to admit it, but this is coming. The umpires believe it's coming too. In their new CBA, they gave the league essentially license to do it, and the competition committee, which is comprised of 6 owners, 4 players, and 1 umpire, that gives the weight to management. So whatever they want to do, they can do. So yes, Scott, I do believe it's coming. There is a lot of discussion taking place, and that's kind of what the article was hitting on to some degree. Just the idea that, okay, there's a margin for error. The players requested from the league just some idea of how accurate this is. And the league said there is a margin for error. There is always a margin for error in ball tracking systems. And the question is, do you want to tolerate that as players, as a league, or do you think this is still going to be better than the umpires can do, albeit with a challenge system when the umpires will be making most of the calls anyway?
So you made a good point there, and I think I want to elaborate a little bit on this human error, something I still love and enjoy, and that's the error that people are like, oh well, we're trying to get away from the human error, but now we're saying there's an element of this electronical error that is going to be a problem too as well. So we're trying to get rid of the human error, but also there could be a problem with the automated strike zone here. So back and forth here. Where What do you think about this whole thing? Because I enjoy the human error as well, check swings, whatever it is, foul, fair, blah blah blah. Now the strike zone has an error in it too as well, even though it's slight. Can you elaborate a little bit on that for us?
Todd, what we reported was that essentially the median error would be less than 1/5 of an inch. That's on every pitch for the most part. MLB is 95% confident it will be within 4/10, and 99% confident it'll be within 5/10. 5/10 of an inch, even at that level of error, is not all that great. Can umpires do as well? The umpires might say yes. I don't believe that the league thinks that. So again, there's always going to be some error with any of these systems. What baseball wants to eliminate, from what I can tell, is the pitch that's 2 inches outside, that's called a strike. The pitch that's down the middle, that's called a ball. With the challenge system, that kind of stuff should go. One concern I have is even with a half-inch margin for error. So Corbin Burns mentioned this to me. He said, well, if there's a pitch 1/10 of an inch inside, it could be called a ball because the margin for error is obviously having the 4/10 going outside to add up to a half-inch. Yes, that can happen, and it probably will happen. But the other point here that is worth making is that this tracking data is used for StatCast. It's used to evaluate players all the time. And the same margin of error exists, and we don't really question that because for the most part, we have faith that it's getting to the right place. I expect that if this system is implemented, we will get to the right place. But yes, there is going to be a margin for error, and there's always going to be a margin for error with this system or a human system. And it's just a question of what you're willing to accept. And there's also this idea too, guys, and the umpires and players have at least raised this, of a buffer zone, where if a pitch is, say, 1/10 of an inch outside, and that's what the ABS system says, and the umpire misses it, well, maybe that call can stand, much like in replay when we have a call that stands. That might diminish faith in the system. There are other issues that arise with that, but all of these things need to be discussed. I don't know that we're in a bad place with this, but it's going to be a huge adjustment. There's no question about it. The entire definition of the strike zone is going to change. It's going to be lower at the top, higher at the bottom, narrower on the sides. There's a lot going on here, and that is what is going to have to be discussed and talked through over the next several months.
Who will benefit the most from this when it gets implemented? In all you're talking about, all this stuff, was Corbin Burns saying, oh, I don't know, like, I feel like this is unfair for the pitchers, because pitchers always whine and complain. But through your discussion with players, does one side or the other, hitters or pitchers, feel like this is going to benefit them more than the other side?
There are two things at play here. One is the ABS, and two is the new zone. And with the new zone, it should benefit hitters to some degree because the high strike is going to be lowered, right? But I'm always skeptical of any assumptions with any of these things because unintended consequences do arise. We do know, Eric, that catchers aren't necessarily going to like this because it will make framing somewhat less meaningful. It's still going to be meaningful. You won't be challenging every pitch, but that has been something that has come up.
FT fam, let's talk about the HOF app. If you're into parlays, but sometimes you're missing the mark more than you would like to, can I introduce you to some serious analytics on an app that is easy to read and comprehend? And I'm sitting next to a man who knows how to place a parlay.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is breaking down a parlay with this Hall of Fame app. There's the situations that you'll find easier to do. It's very helpful in understanding. And if you like, gambling, sometimes this is really good to know. So get on there, get on that Hall of Fame app and check it out.
Yeah, this is info that will help you, okay? With a 4.9 rating in the App Store and over 6,000 five-star reviews, safe to say that HOF has already helped a lot of people bet smarter. For a limited time only, FT listeners can get a 7-day free trial and 50% off their first month when they use code FOUL at checkout. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Enter code FOUL and you're all set. Ken, I want to swing directions over to what you just put out this morning on the Boone duo, the Boone rivalry that is renewed now with Brett going up against Aaron. So what can you tell us about those two, of course, now getting to coach against each other again? And I would say how different they are.
They're very different. And what's really interesting about this is they competed against each other as players. They were teammates when Aaron first came up, 97, 98 with the Cincinnati Reds, but they had times where they competed against each other in a situation where they directly controlled their actions. When you're managing, when you're coaching, as Aaron and Brett are now doing, you don't have that control. And that was one element that came through in my conversation with Brett. Just it kind of drives him crazy, as I'm sure it drives Aaron Boone crazy at times, that what's happening on the field, you can't really do much about it. You're not getting in the box and hitting a 3-run homer. It's not possible. So that's part of it. But also the article focuses just on the family in general. This is a historic baseball family. Ray, the grandfather, Bob, the father, Brett and Aaron, of course, as the sons. And there's Nick Allen, who is the shortstop for the Atlanta Braves, who is Brett's son-in-law. There are other offspring that are involved in sports in some fashion or another. So that's a big part of it too, and just the competitive element that's going to take place tonight, starting at Yankee Stadium, between these guys. I don't know if they're going to both bring out the lineup cards. That would be kind of cool, right? But it's going to be really interesting to see them in the dugouts opposing each other. And Aaron said he'll probably glance over from time to time.
Is there a sense of admiration from either side? Like when you talk to the Boone family, do you say, oh, Aaron wishes he could just be a hitting coach like Brett is now? I know that's new. Or does Brett say, you said in your article, you said about how Brett was like, whoa, like this dude just came straight from not even being on the field and being a manager? Like, is there an admiration or is it just a total brotherly competitive vibe that they got going on?
I sensed admiration for sure, both ways. And it seems to me, based on what they told me or what they told me and Brendan Cuddy, they have a lot of admiration for each other. They support each other as individuals. Now, when they're on opposite sides, obviously they want to win. That's the nature of any competitive situation. But these two guys are close. And Aaron made a point of saying he's proud of Brett. He's come a long way in his life. And now it's kind of a perfect moment for Brett, who has, through 2 marriages, 7 children, youngest of which is 17. He can do this now and feel comfortable doing it, leaving home. So it's kind of cool in that sense that the family is close. They take this trip. I don't know if it's every year, but they did last year. The whole family goes to Mexico, 22 people last year. And Brett did his podcast there. He interviewed every family member. It's a close-knit group.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.